Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Liang Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's stories. Police made more arrests in connection to the mass shooting in Sacramento. Family members remember those lost in the shooting. A group of mothers put up a billboard in a popular tourist area of San Francisco. It warns visitors of the city's fentanyl problem. We spoke to several tourists to hear what they think. And several groups filed a lawsuit against the San Jose gun law. The law forces gun owners to pay a fee. The lawsuit says it should be called a tax. Today, a third suspect was arrested in connection to the mass shooting in Sacramento that killed 6 people. Police say the first and second suspects are brothers. NTD's Cheney Wu brings the update.
A father of 4, a best friend with a positive personality, a vivacious partygoer. The 6 people who were killed during a mass shooting in California's capital city were remembered by their friends and family as few details were released about the weekend violence. Penelope Scott, mother of one of the victims, said she was devastated when she was told her son had been fatally shot Sunday.
You know, a lot of stress, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain. I feel like I got a hole in my heart.
Dozens of rapid-fire gunshots rang out early Sunday in the crowded streets of California's capital city, killing 3 women and 3 men and leaving 12 wounded. By Monday, an arrest, Dondre Martin, who was joined by his brother Smiley on Tuesday. Smiley Martin was arrested while hospitalized with serious injuries from the gunfire and will be jailed as soon as he's able to leave the hospital. Officials say they anticipate more arrests as police continue their investigation. The shooting occurred around 2 a.m. Sunday as bars were closing and patrons filled the streets near Sacramento. Police say more than 100 shell casings littered the scene. At this point, police think that all of this started because of a fight and that multiple people opened fire. This was the second mass shooting in Sacramento in the past 5 weeks. Cheney Wu, NTD News.
The third person arrested in the shooting is 31-year-old Davion Dawson. He is facing charges of being a prohibited person in possession of a firearm. He is not facing charges directly related to the shooting. A group in San Francisco is warning people of its drug crisis through a billboard. As fentanyl deaths rise throughout the city, mothers are calling attention to the deadly drug in the most eye-catching way they can find.
Here in Union Square, a popular tourist and shopping area in downtown San Francisco, a new billboard has been put on display highlighting the city's drug crisis. The billboard shows the Golden Gate Bridge and says, "Famous the world over for our brains, beauty, and now dirt cheap fentanyl." A group of mothers called Mothers Against Drug Deaths raised $25,000 in donations to keep the billboard up for 1 month in the hotspot area that's often filled with visitors to the city.
The people that are there that are homeless and addicted are being preyed upon, and they are deteriorating slowly. It's a slow death.
Jackie Berlin, one of the members of Mothers Against Drug Deaths, told SF List, "We just want to discourage tourism until the city is able to get this under control, especially the open-air drug markets." Some tourists to the city were fortunate to not come across any drug use so far on the streets.
Well, it's just good to raising awareness. From what I've seen so far, I don't think it's too bad what I've seen.
Seems out of the way, really. You can't notice it much.
A few visitors did say they were warned by locals on their way here about possible open-air drug use, but most of them were not aware of the issues the city has been having.
But we were told this morning that it is relatively safe in San Francisco.
The Hotel Council of San Francisco, the Union Square Alliance, and the Golden Gate Restaurant Association issued a joint response to the billboard saying, "The passionate campaign being launched today by MADD, although impactful, is not the solution as it will only hurt local small businesses and our hospitality workers who just now are beginning to crawl out of the economic disaster caused by COVID and its continuing fallout." In the last 2 years, fentanyl overdoses accounted for more deaths in San Francisco than COVID-19. So far this year, at least 98 deaths for drug overdose have been confirmed so far. About 40% of them have been from fentanyl. Jason Blair, NTD News, San Francisco.
California is once again extending its eviction moratorium. State officials say the extension is to give time for certain individuals to receive rental assistance payments.
California's eviction moratorium has been extended to June 30th. The extension comes as the state has been running behind on distributing renter relief funds. Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis, who is currently sitting in for Governor Gavin Newsom while he is away on vacation, signed the legislation into law on March 31st. The original extension was set to terminate at midnight on that day. In a statement, Kounalakis said California's nation-leading rent relief program has provided much-needed relief for more than 220,000 households across the state. The extension does not apply to all renters, though. People who applied for rental assistance before March 31st cannot be evicted. Rental assistance payouts are part of the state's $5.5 billion relief program for the CCP virus, also known as COVID-19. According to Newsom's office, the program will cover 100% of qualified tenants' late payments. As of March 29th, the state's housing agency says there are over 500,000 tenant applications, but the state has served less than half of them. About $2.5 billion in funds are to be paid out with an average of $11,400 per applicant. The California Rental Housing Association wrote to the Senate in opposition, arguing that there is no need to extend the moratorium as the pandemic wanes. They wrote, "Any further extension to the statewide eviction moratorium will hurt housing providers who have continued to house tenants with no rental income or rent relief." Daniel Hall, NTD News, California.
Gun control is again the center of attention in California. San Jose adopted a gun ownership fee earlier this year, but the city is now being sued for what some civic groups are calling an illegal tax. NTD's Cynthia Kai has more on the lawsuit.
3 civic groups are suing the city of San Jose over a $25 fee on gun ownership. The city passed the law back in January and calls it an annual gun harm reduction fee. Gun owners will pay the fee to an organization being created by the San Jose city manager. The Silicon Valley Public Accountability Foundation, Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, and Silicon Valley Taxpayers Association filed the lawsuit in the Santa Clara Superior Court. The suit alleges violations of the First and Second Amendment and California Constitution. The group says gun owners are being forced to support an organization they may disagree with. Additionally, the law creates a new fee condition for gun ownership. Jonathan Fleming with the Silicon Valley Public Accountability Foundation said this is a tax because the government is forcing residents to pay money to a nonprofit corporation formed by the mayor in exchange for services provided to the community at large. San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo said in a statement that the city spent 2 years discussing with legal experts on how to create a constitutional and enforceable ordinance to reduce the risk of gun violence and gun harm in the community. In January, the National Association for Gun Rights filed a similar lawsuit, asking for an injunction to stop the gun fee. A hearing on that case is scheduled for July 21st. Cynthia Kai, NTD News, California.
The Los Angeles County Sheriff offered to have his department help clean homeless encampments from Hollywood streets. The sheriff said he wants to make the area safer, even though it's not their responsibility.
According to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Alex Villanueva is offering to have his deputies help clean the streets of Hollywood, which have been overrun in recent years by homeless encampments. The department wrote on Twitter Sunday, the Los Angeles County Sheriff has plans to make Hollywood feel safer, despite it not being LASD's patrol area. Villanueva told Fox 11, "We're gonna go invade the beach again Memorial Day all the way through Labor Day. Just so we're sending that message that it is safe to vacation here for local residents. It is safe for tourists to make this a destination." The sheriff compared the idea to last summer's effort in Venice, where Villanueva led a walking tour on the boardwalk with deputies. They reached out to several homeless individuals to gauge their interest in receiving government-provided housing. Officials later cleared out a major homeless encampment in the area. Like Hollywood, Venice falls within the jurisdiction of the Los Angeles Police Department.
We're going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we got for you when we come back. Speaking of heat, a Northern California woman is pushing for restoring the rights of Native Americans to use cultural fire to clear abundant fuel in the community. The practice has been prohibited since the early 1900s. The Attorney General announced a settlement for pandemic-related price gouging on eggs. A grocery chain is paying back for raising the price of a poultry product. And a hot air balloon crashes in California. Fortunately, the person who posted the incident online said the riders are okay. NTD will have more when we return. The governor's fire task force recently launched a plan to use more prescribed fire. This includes working with the native tribes and cultural fire practitioners who faced restrictions on fire practices. NTD's David Lam reports.
California is looking for ways to curb its massive wildfire problem. One move is to once again allow a Native American custom known as cultural burning. Margot Robbins, the executive director at Cultural Fire Management Council, says the new legislation is a step in the right direction. She is also a basket weaver, which led her down the path to restore rights for indigenous fire practice.
So the art of basket weaving was dying out in our community because of the fire suppression, fire exclusion era that has been going on for over 100 years.
She said hazel sticks need to be burned to be useful in basket weaving. The use of intentional fire practices have been prohibited since the early 1900s. Robbins is pushing to reclaim the use of fire for cultural purposes and tend the native land. She said her community had a lot of brush that created high fire danger.
We only have one road leading onto and off of the reservation, very dangerous situation. So that was another reason why we needed to find a way to bring fire back to our homelands.
Robbins lives on the Yurok Reservation near the California-Oregon border.
Today, if we just go out and light something up, it'll start a forest fire. So the land has to be prepared in order to accept fire in a good way. You need to put fire lines around the area you're going to burn, usually. Sometimes you don't have to, but usually you have to.
She says they're not in a place to burn in their traditional way, but for cultural purposes.
Traditionally, families would go out and burn at the right place at the right time, and because everybody took that responsibility upon themselves, our land was very different than what it is today.
Robbins emphasized that there's a need to have people who know how to work with fire, sometimes traditional burners or trained firefighters. They use the modern-day method of qualified firefighters with yellow shirts, hard hats, and fire engines. David Lam, NTD News, California.
California Attorney General announced a settlement with a grocery retailer today. The dispute was over price gouging of eggs during the pandemic. Here's what the settlement includes.
State authorities said Tuesday grocery chain Smart & Final has agreed to pay $175,000 in penalties over price gouging. The payment will resolve allegations that the grocer raised the price of egg products.
Between March and June of 2020, Smart & Final, which operates more than 250 stores throughout the West, they illegally increased the price of 4 organic and cage-free egg products beyond what was allowable during a state of emergency.
Bonta said an investigation found that Smart & Final sold over 100,000 cartons of marked up eggs.
The grocery retailer raised prices by more than 10% over pre-pandemic levels with no accompanying increase in supply costs, violating our California price gouging laws. Some products were price gouged by approximately 25%.
When California Governor Gavin Newsom declared a state of emergency in March 2020, it triggered price gouging protections through August 2020.
Today's settlement should serve as a warning to grocers and other sellers of essential supplies. Follow state price gouging laws or you will pay the price and be held to account.
Bonta's office said it received many complaints about dramatic increases in the cost of eggs after Newsom's emergency declaration. Many complaints cited price spikes at Smart & Final stores across California.
In the next 5 years, the city of Los Angeles could invest billions of dollars to address homelessness. This includes thousands of beds and housing units.
Based on a settlement announced on Friday, LA could spend billions of dollars over the next 5 years in aid towards the homeless population. While actual numbers remain uncertain, city officials estimate that it may need the addition of 14,000 to 16,000 beds, costing between $2.4 billion and $3 billion. This settlement with the LA Alliance for Human Rights does not include LA County. But city officials said the county will be responsible for providing services and housing for homeless individuals with serious mental illness, substance use issues, or chronic physical illnesses. The LA Alliance for Human Rights, which is a diverse group of community representatives, sued the county and city in March 2020. They allege that county and city policies have created a dangerous environment in the Skid Row area and that the situation is deteriorating. According to a count by the LA Homeless Services Authority, there were over 66,000 homeless individuals in the county, and for the city of LA, it was over 41,000. That's a 16% jump from the year prior. County officials said that since 2017, the county provided housing for 75,000 people experiencing homelessness. Officials are waiting for the final agreement.
Elon Musk has joined Twitter's board of directors. It comes a day after Tesla CEO disclosed a 9.2% stake in the social media company, worth about $3 billion. Regulatory filings show Musk will serve as a Class 2 director with a term that expires in 2024. Under the arrangement, Musk will not own or control more than 14.9% of the Twitter shares. Twitter CEO said Musk is both a passionate believer and an intense critic of the service, and added he will make the boardroom stronger in the long term. Musk has called Twitter a kind of public square and has criticized the company over free speech. Twitter has been accused of suppressing conservative viewpoints, allegations the company denies. Musk says that if the company fails to adhere to principles of free speech, this would undermine democracy. The Los Angeles International Airport saw 150% more travelers this year so far compared to last year. Both the Super Bowl and eased lockdown measures played a big role. NTD's Eileen Ang has more.
More than 4 million people traveled through Los Angeles International Airport, or LAX, in February, a 150% increase from the same month last year. The increase is due to Los Angeles hosting the Super Bowl and more people traveling compared to earlier in the COVID-19 pandemic. February saw about 3.34 million travelers on domestic flights and over 740,000 travelers on international flights. According to the Los Angeles World Airport CEO, they anticipate continued improvement in our passenger numbers in March, based on data from the Transportation Security Administration, and we are looking forward to very busy spring and summer travel seasons. Overall, there were 3.1% more passengers in February compared to January. Despite the increase in travel during February, the month still saw fewer travelers than February 2020, a month before stay-at-home orders were issued in California due to the COVID-19 pandemic. That month, more than 5.8 million travelers passed through LAX.
A hot air balloon ride crashing in Southern California was caught on camera. The person who posted to social media said the riders are okay.
In this video posted online by a user named NickTalk, he said his first hot air balloon experience was going great until the winds picked up.
Here we go. Right. Hang on. Just hang on. Hang on.
The hot air balloon crashes onto an open field and continues to be dragged at a nearly 45-degree angle or steeper. A person in charge beckons everyone to hang on.
Stay in the basket. In the basket with me. Stay on. Stay on.
Reports say the crash happened in the city of Paris in Riverside County. According to a study published in the National Library of Medicine, from the years 2000 to 2011, there have been 78 reports of crashes involving hot air balloon tours. 81% of them occurred during landing. This video was posted in early April, and according to the post, Nick said, "We are all okay."
Now to NTD's Thomas Christian for an update on sports.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you the California Today Sports Roundup. Two-time National League batting champion and two-time All-Star Tommy Davis has died at the age of 83. In announcing his death, the Los Angeles Dodgers said Davis passed away Sunday night in Phoenix, with his family at his bedside. Davis, an outfielder who also played some third base, won back-to-back batting titles with the Dodgers in 1962 and 1963, and holds the single-season club's record with 230 hits and 153 RBIs. Davis played 18 years in the majors, including 8 with the Dodgers from 1959 to 1966. Davis was a 3-time world champion as a Dodger in 1959, 1963, and 1965, and he also earned All-Star honors. Breaking news from this morning, Tiger Woods said he will play in this week's Masters, marking the 5-time champion's highly anticipated return to the competition from a car crash last year that nearly resulted in doctors amputating his right leg. 15-time major champion has not competed on the PGA Tour since a November 2020 Masters, and cast serious doubt on his professional golfing future after suffering serious leg injuries in a February 2021 car crash. We will now see if he is able to make yet another comeback at the Augusta Masters. Rounding out our golf coverage, Jennifer Kupcho's first win on the LPGA Tour was a major breakthrough. Kupcho entered Sunday with a 6-stroke lead, and her 2-over-par 74 in the final round was still enough to stay ahead of the pack. She posted a 14-under 274 for the week, 2 better than second place Jessica Korda. The victory at the first major of the LPGA season included a traditional leap into Poppy's Pond near the 18th green, though hers will be the last of such plunge. The event, previously known as Nabisco Dina Shore Craft Nabisco Championship and the ANA Inspiration, will move to Houston next season, leaving its iconic home in the California desert. She was still stunned that the first win came at a major, with a first prize of $750,000 out of the $5 million purse. Kupcho played her first 7 holes in 2 under before picking up a bogey at the par 3 8th, her second of the round. She started the teeter early on the back 9 and slipped back toward the pack with bogeys at 10, 13, and 14. After recovering with a birdie at hole 15 that brought her to 16 under, Kupcho misfired on the par 3 17th tee, landing in a thick rough. She would 2-putt for bogey. At the par 5 18th, she made the green in 3 before 3-putting. But by then, the victory was in the bag. Kupcho had the support of several of her friends on tour watching her come down the stretch. As always, I'm Thomas Christian, and thanks for tuning in.
And that's all for tonight. You can join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. If you have any news tips or ideas for our show, or you just want to let us know how we're doing, our email is california.today@ntd.com. I'm Liang Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.